Oh, maybe our intro won't work today. That's fun. Yeah, here we are. Here we are. Welcome in. Welcome in. Thanks for joining. It's week one preseason. Our intro didn't work. I'm hosting. Things are in shambles, but the season is not. We're back. We're here. Honolulu Blues, per always. I'm Nick. We got Julius all the way out in Germany, staying up late with us. We appreciate you per usual. And we got Adam. Boys, not only are we into the first week of preseason for the entire football league, we got my favorite show as well dropping tonight at 9 p.m. It is Tuesday right now as we record, and we are going to get Hard Knocks with the Chicago Bears. It has always been my favorite show for the last 15 years. I look so forward to it every year, whether it's Antonio Brown and the Raiders, whether it's freaking Justin Herbert and the Rams for Los Angeles, and especially if it's the Lions. But Julius, as I go on and start tweeting out all of our videos and all of that, let me know what you think. What do you think about Hard Knocks? What do you think about the Bears hosting it this year? Are you excited? Where's your, tell me everything.
Well, I missed the Lions Hard Knocks. I'll tell you that. So I understand Bears fans are in a very happy place right now. The hype is high. They coming off all these draft picks, Caleb Williams, and they get to watch the innards and of an NFL training camp for the team that they hope arise. We were in this position last year when when Hard Knocks came out, it just hyped us up even more. That was 2 years back that's when they only won. Was that the first season with Campbell when we had Hard Knocks?
Second year.
Second, right?
Yeah, we went 9-8 that year. Yeah.
So I definitely know where Bears fans are. I'm not really gonna watch any of it though.
Really?
Like, at least I'm not gonna watch it live, or I'm not gonna try to catch it as soon as it come out like I was about the Lions. I'm a little less interested. I'm gonna catch clips of it on X and whatnot, Facebook, and I'll keep track of it. But
do you watch Hard Knocks like when it was the Raiders or the Jets or the Bengals or
yeah, I watched it, but I wasn't as like last year with the Lions. It was just like I was reverently involved in it, like
right.
Spiritually, like it made me better on this show. It made me talk. It made me more knowledgeable of the team that I love, that we all love. So I definitely understand why it's so popular, and it's a very entertaining show. I'm gonna probably watch it, but I find something like Receivers more entertaining because Amon-Ra St. Brown was involved.
Right. So it's got to be a line base. Adam, where's your rating on excitement for Hard Knocks?
I'm gonna watch. I'm Hard Knocks. It's Hard Knocks. They could put like Central Michigan or like East Carolina on there, and I would probably watch it. But nothing like tuning into a little comedy special tonight with the old Chicago Bears representing. I think it'll be interesting to compare how Hard Knocks did it with the Lions as to the Bears. I know the Bears for a long time did not want to do Hard Knocks, so I wonder if there's going to be certain stuff where they, like blatant stuff where it's like, we didn't even see Caleb Williams. He was only on for, one introductory, thing. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's some of that. But, like I said, Hard Knocks is Hard Knocks. It's definitely going to be some good stuff. And hopefully we can get a little us Lions fans and Lions, I guess, employees, Lions staff can get a little intel on, what's going on, because I'm sure there is little, nooks and crannies that you can like pick out where if it's just like tendencies, if it's like things players like, if it's like, little things where, Caleb Williams, or DJ Moore, I guess Romo Dudes would be the guy, does something silly, embarrass himself. Then when you can get Terrion Arnold chewing his ass out and, give him some crap for it or something like that. So, yeah, definitely will be fun to watch. But, yeah, it won't be anything like Receivers and Amon-Ra.
That's 100% true. I'm such a fanatic for Hard Knocks. It just gets me into football mode. I don't care what team it is. This is the first time we're going to see it with a division foe. I do not believe the Bears, the Packers, or the Vikings have ever done it. So this is the first time a divisional foe will be on Hard Knocks, which is very cool, very interesting. I want to hate them more, and hopefully the rookie skits, which I know I look so forward to, and I still look forward to Rome's and Caleb's and anyone else that they drafted just to see them. But I hope I hate them because of them. You know what I mean? I don't want to come away from the show being like, I kind of got a soft spot for Rome Odunze now, which I actually do because I really like that kid a lot. But especially Caleb Williams, I want full hatred, like just bleeding out of me, like out of my eardrums, out of my nose, just watching it, just fucking hating it. But yeah, Hard Knocks comes on at 9:00 today. So if you are interested, make sure you get HBO and you tune in. But for right now, let's get to the breaking news. Breaking news. And we have just pretty much one bit of news to go over. Emmanuel Moseley. This is devastating. This is terrible. It was broke this morning that it was a torn. What do we got? A torn bicep. What was it?
Pec, I believe.
Oh, torn pec. Thank you. Out indefinitely. So I have a few questions for you, but before I get into the questions I have for you guys, I do want to read a quote that Dan Campbell said during the press conference that kind of, I don't know, I want to try to read between the lines, but it says, nothing says that he may not be ready by the end of the year. I mean, we're still trying to figure all those things out. Everything happens for a reason. You don't always see it in the moment. This, to me, alludes to what if there is a chance he does what CJGJ did last year and not come back for like the second round of the playoffs, but comes back maybe for San Francisco week 17, right? He comes back, and that right there, when maybe we're injury ridden or just tired and gassed because we had a bye week on week 5, we need fresh legs. Hopefully he can withstand like this comeback. It's detrimental to him. 2 ACLs in a row, 2 years in a row, 2 different ACLs, and now the torn pec, excuse me. It sucks for him, but maybe like we might not see it right now, but all things do happen for a reason. I like to keep the glass half full aspect of this, that he will come back and provide huge depth when we need it down the home stretch. But I'm going to just jump right over to Julius real quick. How do you think this impacts the DB room in general?
I mean, he was getting starting reps at nickel. That right there is impact. You know what I'm saying? We're likely losing a favorite starter, and it always sucks. However, I think this season, especially compared to prior seasons, the Lions were more prepared for this. Like they knew re-signing him, okay, he might be a bug. They were right. So that's why you draft Enos Breakshaw in the second round. And then that's why you sign trade for Carlton Davis, moving Branch to safety. He could still jump in the nickel sometimes, I'm sure. So I think we're better equipped for it this season, most definitely.
I like that. Adam, do you think we're going to see Emmanuel Moseley back this year? And what do you think the impact is to the DB room?
So I don't think we see him in the regular season. I think he maybe like a week 18 where it's like a prep for first round of playoffs. But I just feel like with everything that's happened to this dude, ACLs back to back, now pec, I get it's upper body and lower body injuries. But I feel like this is going to be something where he's going to take extensive time. Like this guy will want to make sure that there's no chance of him getting re-injured, re-aggravating something, and getting hurt again. With that being said, our cornerbacks, it's pretty much a whole new cornerback room essentially for us. So if we are struggling, if it's like Amik's just not what he's supposed to be, Carlton Davis is, injured, and the depth is looking slim, then I wouldn't be surprised. Hello, mother. I wouldn't be surprised if he did make a week 16, 17 push, only if the Lions were battling it out in the North with the Packers. I think if we've got things wrapped up or looking like we can seal the deal week 17, 18 against whomever, then I don't think he will make it back for the regular season. But yeah, it's another blow. It sucks that it was Emmanuel Moseley. This was a guy that literally his third snap after coming off the PUP list last year tore his other ACL. So some guys are just made of glass. We've seen it, plenty of dudes have just not been able to beat the injury bug. I do think this is his last life, no matter what. If he gets another injury, he might not want to call it quits, but he'll be looked at by GMs where it's like, I don't know, man, your body it can't stay intact. So it is what it is. But I'll be rooting for the dude. I hope I'm wrong. I hope he comes back as a superhuman in week 14 and plays lights out. But one thing I kind of am bummed about is the competition. I mentioned this with Badgley when he went down, and kind of Bates was thrust into the spot where he's like, okay, I'm kind of the only kicker on this team now. Is this my job? I think I have the job. And Amik, not saying he's going to slack off, but I feel like he's a dude that's a competitor that wants, other guys to compete with him, try to steal his spot. I feel like he wants to prove that he is the better one and not just getting the easy start route.
I agree. It's going to be very interesting. If anything, get him on the coaching staff. You know what I mean? It'll be great. It'll be great on the coaching staff. Julius, a couple more questions about Emmanuel Moseley. Julius, he played a lot of nickel, as you referred to already on this segment. And we've seen that Iffy has actually taken a few reps now coming into the nickel. We know Brian Branch can play in the nickel. Who would you want if is it Amik Robertson and you want that to be started? Who do you want to really be the cornerstone of our nickel position?
Just looking at Aaron Glenn's defensive scheme and what he likes out of that position, I mean, best case scenario, Brian Branch continues to dominate and get better roving in that nickel. Even though I know a lot of people excited about him moving to safety, they thinking like Ed Reed, you know what I'm saying? Like he's going to be more of a ball hawk, but the nickel position is really what he was drafted for. And it's where he does his best work. So I would say Brian Branch, but if not Brian Branch, because he moved to safety, then I think it's a battle right now. And I think that's a good thing, especially if you lose your supposedly first team nickel going in with Emmanuel Moseley, and you still got guys like Amik Robertson battling it out with Enos Rakestraw. It's still a lot of, I'm worried about rookie corner. So I guess I prefer Amik Robertson. That's cool. What it boils down to.
Yeah, no, that's a great answer. Yeah, it'd be scary having Enos and is it Enos or Ennis?
Good question.
That's a good question too. I do not know that either. Enos, Ennis.
Check out Wikipedia for the
I think Ennis, maybe.
I think it's Ennis, but it's hard not to say Enos.
Like Ennis the Menace.
Ennis the Menace, exactly. But Adam, one more question for you. We lose Emmanuel Moseley. It's not maybe the biggest loss, but it is a loss in the DB room. Is there anyone out there right now that you think the Lions should be going after to get to maybe suit up as a Lion? A couple names that are still available from what I last checked was Xavier Howard, Adoree Jackson, Stephen Gilmore, Patrick Peterson, J.C. Jackson, Eli Apple. Anyone spark any interest, or are you like, nope, our DB room is good?
Yeah, if we do add someone, I would say Gilmore, just because he's that veteran presence. He's won Defensive Player of the Year award, I believe, twice, at least for sure once. He's a very, very good cornerback, all-pro dude. If anything, he could help show the ropes of, hey, this is what it's like to be on a new team. This is what's to expect, because he bounced around for a minute. He was on the Panthers, then the Colts, then the Cowboys, all after his departure from the Patriots. So if he could give some, words of wisdom to these young guys, then that would be nice. But we are deep in cornerback, which is kind of an odd thing. I do think Vildor, friend of the show, is going to step it up. I believe he's got a spot to make for himself. So hopefully we don't need to add anyone, but of course, if we do, I'm not opposed, and Gilmore would be the guy.
Awesome. All right. Well, that was it for the news. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of the show. We're talking about practice.
Listen, we're talking about practice. Not a game. We're talking about practice.
That's right. We're talking about actually, you know what may have been a better drop is
round one. Fight.
Because all we did, it seemed like, was fight. I got a couple videos here for us. Let's watch a couple of them, and then we'll just kind of talk about what we had on the fights. I was trying to do this seamlessly. Let's see if I can do it. I got two videos.
Didn't do that angle yet.
Maybe. That was from today. And this, and then I'm going to show this one from yesterday in case no one has seen. So let's just get this up here real quick, and we'll do this one. In case you guys didn't see, that was first off Kirby Joseph. Terrion Arnold makes a huge play on Malik Neighbors, pass breakup in the end zone. Neighbors gets all bitchy about it, runs past Kirby and flicks him in the head or slaps him in the head, and Kirby did not take kindly to that. Hit him with a 1-2, 1-2-3. That was, what do they call it, 1-2 and a biscuit for you. That was gnarly. I thought it almost wiped him out at one point. Neighbors went back like he was about to faint from a helmet punch, which is just crazy. The second one we saw was the first practice, and that was Amon-Ra St. Brown, who took exception to them knocking the ball out of his hand after he made the catch. And the entire team, especially JMO, had his back right away, and it was just awesome to see. So let's talk about fighting and practice. I'm going to go with you, Adam, first. Do you think it results in just overall, what are your thoughts on not these fights, but just fighting in general at practice?
In general, I kind of think it depends on the team. I feel like the Lions get some more intensity and more, like power, I guess, out of it than the Giants will, just because the hype train we're on. We are Super Bowl contenders. The Giants are in a rebuild mode. And it's like if they fight, whatever, win, lose, that could be their win for the day. But the Lions, it's like when we get into a scuffle, oh man, it riles everyone up. It reminds everyone of just the bad moments of the San Francisco game, the Cowboys game, and it just pisses everyone off. And that's what I kind of like. So if it could just kind of energize the Lions, which hopefully it does, and kind of sparks them into, a different mentality, that, dog killer mentality, then I'm all here for it. But no, I don't think it's something where it's like if something gets thrown, it's immediate separation. I let the boys, go at it. One thing I will be curious of, I kind of jumping ahead, is if Kirby Joseph gets any type of suspension or anything, because he was throwing some haymakers, and I don't know the rules about practice punching, but if he did that in a game, I'm pretty sure he would have gotten like a 1-game suspension. So it'll be interesting to see, but yeah, I like the intensity, I like the fire, and it's always fun to watch a nice little training camp fight.
I love that. And Julius, instead of getting you a different question, I'm just going to write back the same question. We're going to run it down the train. What do you think about just fighting in general at practices?
So, quick response to Adam. I don't think there's practice fighting regulations and rules. I don't think they get fined or suspended for that kind of violence. Maybe if it was more, if the police were involved, it was more serious than, but I think that's okay. As far as fighting at practice, it's not a normal practice. Okay. It's different than fighting your teammate who you're trying to make the team with, or trying to prove a point against. Eventually at the end of the day, they're your friend. When you have these joint practices with other teams, it's like a whole nother level of competitive fuel, that these dudes are feeling. And it started off yesterday, really, with the Giants trying to push around Amon-Ra just because he's, for no reason at all, just pushing him around. And then you got Penei Sewell busting up the huddle, moving like 2 tons of human flesh, just like 10 feet away. It was totally insane. The Giants don't even want none. And then today you got, a rookie slapping a veteran, Kirby Joseph, back of his head. I'm sure they jawing at each other. I think it was totally called for. I would have threw hands too if I was Kirby Joseph, and I appreciate him representing his team like that. I have no issue with none of this. I just don't want to get hurt. Let me just make that stipulation. That's like the biggest risk in all of this is injury. You could break your hand, break bones in your arms trying to fight, get ran over, roll an ankle. Don't want none of that.
Same, 100%. We've seen it for the last 2 years. Travis Kelce and the Kansas City Chiefs have gotten into some major fights in their field. We almost saw Travis Kelce fight his coach in like the Super Bowl or maybe the game before, or whatever it was. Like, I don't mind this at all. Now, the one thing that bothers me is that the second practice was called early. because of fighting, because every special teams play after the video we saw, every special teams play resulted in a scrum. That's a bit much, guys. I think that's a bit much. There is a fine line of how much fighting you should be doing in practice. You should have this energy. And like you've been at these, mini camps and all these team oriented things. And this is the first time you get to go lay wood onto freaking, I don't know if that's the right word, but you get to lay the smackdown on an opposing team. So it's like, this is what you expect. This is what you expect. And it's great to see. But there is a fine line. I thought we overdid it a bit when they ended up having to call practice a little bit early. I do care more about seeing videos of us being beat or beating them in one-on-ones or team drills way more than I am about seeing fights. Like
that was how the fight started with Neighbors. Terry Arnold made a great play on Neighbors in the end zone after getting kind of beat by him a couple times in the first day. Yep. So it was totally uncalled for Neighbors to just, maybe he was salty in that moment.
Did either of you guys see Kirby Joseph's story after he got ejected? I don't know if he got ejected or if they just said, all right, timeout, buddy. But he posted this song. Hopefully it plays.
We can hit by it. Hit the missionary. She start yelling, tell her be quiet.
Yeah, boy.
Hit by it. Yeah, we can hit by it. Yeah. So he's geeked. He's amped up. I like that intensity where I'm like, Kirby, he took something from that. Yep. I don't know if he'll play in the Giants game. I don't expect too many starters to play. Kirby maybe because he's, kind of a rotational, / starter type guy. So he might get a couple snaps in. But regardless, this brings some fire into him. So I like it.
Yeah, I don't expect to see Kirby play, but if we do, I assure you, if Neighbors is on the field at the same time, we're going to get a low hit on Neighbors from Kirby.
Do you know Neighbors is playing?
Wait, we do know that?
I should say. I assume. I should say.
Okay, got you. I'm not 100%. Starters don't really play anymore in the preseason, so I never assume anymore, especially week one. But hopefully you're right.
I feel like that, but I feel like sometimes with rookies, maybe they give them that first drive and that's it. It might not be in the first preseason game. He could get, second preseason game, third preseason game. But I do think he will be in there. Like we saw, J-Mo, he was suspended the first 5-6 games or whatever. And, he was still playing in preseason until he got hurt. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, we'll jump past the fights because that is not all that practice was. We did get to see some things. I'm going to start out with Julius. I had you guys get 3 takeaways from practice. Why don't you run down your list? We'll see how many. What if we all have the 3 same thing? We'll figure it out. Julius, what are your 3 takeaways that you took away from the first 2 practices this week against the Giants?
So from the joint practices with the Giants, my main takeaways have been the dominance of Aiden Hutchinson and Ali McNeil. I'm going to just couple them together on the defensive line because we don't have DJ Reader. And, I'm sure Levi O is on somebody's list as well, but those 2 guys, they like the basis of the heart of our defensive line. It's just great to see them dominate against guys like Andrew Thomas and a few of the Giants offensive linemen who are decent. Second on my list is Dan Campbell letting the guys. This does not pertain to the fight, but he talked about in the press conference that he kind of welcomes that energy, but he worries the same way that nobody gets hurt. So it's that grit. It's the culture that's been built, so I like that. Third on my list is I'm a little worried about the injuries. I got to just throw the injuries in there because the 3 that we have had with Comiskey and then Badgley and now Mosley, all pretty much season enders. Yeah. It's kind of a trend we want to slow down. So not all my takeaways from this joint practice have been positive, but that's pretty much where I'm at with my list.
I love that. I love that you added the injuries in there because I didn't think to do that, but as a huge takeaway, that's huge. Like to keep that in note.
A small worry in the background,
Yep. Luckily, we've gotten lucky that none of those 3 players are vital. Obviously, everyone's vital on the team, but let's exactly what you said. Keep them hushed down a little bit. We don't need any more. Adam, what were your 3 takeaways from the joint practice?
Real quick, one thing it brought to my mind, Julius. If I've always wondered this. How much of an impact would it be if like a team just, all right, we're going to simmer down on our practices the last 10 days. We're making sure we are going into at least preseason healthy as can be. Do you guys think a team would benefit more off of knowing everyone's healthy, either, going preseason or assuming week 1, as opposed to, getting those extra reps in? Granted, the rookies obviously need it, but like Ragnow, Zietler, man, I feel like these guys should be like, hey, you guys, you want to practice 15 minutes? That's good. Go out and fish. Ragnow, you take Zietler out, show them what Michigan's like. And
we wouldn't like that a couple years ago.
That's true.
I feel like a couple years ago, like the hard knock practices, it was like, hell no, everybody ass to the floor. Don't matter about injuries. Don't worry about that. Work as hard as you can. Now, though, we're chasing a higher goal, as they like to say.
Good point.
So it's very much possible. We got some vets at the end of the line, like you said, Ragnow, Zietler, especially on that offensive line. That's the core. You don't want to risk it. Not even Sewell Decker. You do not want to risk it. You're right.
Yeah, I feel like we keep kind of, obviously, Badgley, Mosley, and Kaminsky, all, significant injuries, but we saw Zietler get a shoulder injury, Terrion get I believe a concussion, mild concussion, and then, Ragnow was rolled up on. So it's 3 little scares to 3, starters, essentially, Ragnow being a vital piece. And it's kind of like, all right, just fingers crossed, make it there. But my 3 takeaways were, number 1, J-Mo has his swagger back. And I feel like he is totally feeling the vibes. I feel like the fans are making him play better. I feel like his confidence is at an all-time high, similar to what it was when he was at Alabama. And we saw the touchdown catch and the little wave he did. You're only doing that if you're like thinking, I'm that dude. And J-Mo, to think that after not really playing a whole lot the last 2 seasons, let alone like doing a whole lot. Granted, he came on how strong in the second half of the season, but he's not looked at some superstar. We see it all the time on Twitter. Guys are left and right. This dude's a bust. He's nothing. He's not going to pan out. But now we're seeing, this guy could be a superstar. And I feel like if we saw this in the first season of J-Mo, oh my gosh, it wouldn't just be Lions hype going crazy. It would be all media would be drooling over this guy. So J-Mo got his swagger back. Number 2, Penei Sewell is a bully. Penei, we know that. He's just a man amongst boys. But we saw it in practice. He took on Kayvon, taking on pretty much anyone. Straight up just lifted Kayvon in one of his snaps off the ground and just played phenomenal. So Penei, big boy, got to on his bully game right now. And then finally, Levi. So you're telling me there's a chance. And by that, I mean, we've heard rave reviews of Levi Onwuzurike, a guy who was very much looking like a second-round bust, a possible cut candidate, a rotational player at best. And then you get a Pro Bowl guard of Zietler saying this guy is going to hit him and Aleem are next up on defensive contracts. And to put him in the Aleem status, that's some high praise for the man. So we also it wasn't Zietler. Dan Campbell was raving about him as well, saying he could be, a solid defensive end, which we heard too. He could move the defensive end. So if Onwuzurike is, a good rotational player, this is huge for a defensive line, let alone if he actually pans out to be that second-round player. And then finally, actually, no, that was 3.
You keep going if you got more takeaways.
I have takeaways for days from Lions training camp, man. It's been a blast watching all these on Twitter. If you're not on Twitter and you're just popping in, casual fan, just go type in Lions training camp and you'll see some amazing videos. People record everything nowadays. There's no more like, hey, you have a phone, you're out of here. It's pretty much everyone's like sneaking stuff and then it all gets leaked. So it's gonna be a fun season.
It surely is going to be a fun season. You guys knocked out 2 of my 3 takeaways. I'll reiterate them. My number 1 thing was Aleem is a monster, dude. Aleem is going to, man, you could freaking like line up a full 46-foot box truck just full of freaking whatever you want, concrete pavers, and Aleem will still push that motherfucker back 10 yards. Like, do not worry. He is a beast. It is great.
We did hear about how he shed 15 pounds of fat, probably turned into muscle. So it's like hey, is this could be was that the difference maker? Is he bigger, beefier, a little
He
more?
looks shredded. He looks shredded and explosive, bro.
Aaron
It's like
Donald-esque.
it's a nasty kind of power, man. It's
Yeah.
hard to stop. Yeah.
It's that winning culture, man. Every Detroit Lion is bought in, from the practice team to Jared Goff. Everybody wants it just as much.
That's right. And speaking of being bought in, my number 2 is the guy that you liked, Adam, and it's J-Mo, dude. He's a real deal. He's the real deal, Holyfield, dude. This guy is it. I am telling you, we have said it. We have preached it. He is it. My third takeaway was one you guys didn't really mention. That was our DBs. They got beat up day one. Beat up. It wasn't great. Neighbors had one of the best catches I've seen. It did get ruled out of bounds, but it was an amazing catch. But today, we stepped it up. There is no practice tomorrow, so I like the way that the DBs finished the practice sessions. When you get beat, you have to get back up. It is very interesting to see it's very exciting to see what they're going to do in the preseason game. And that was it for our practice, but we are not done. Let's get to prediction time. That was the first time we got to use that drop. That was exciting. I worked on that a little bit yesterday too. So that's fun. Let's talk about some predictions. I am going to start with Adam. You're the lucky one because I didn't really get anyone I didn't tell anyone what I was going to do for this segment. So we're just going to go off the cusp here. Who do you think the key player to watch is out of offense and defense? Who's the one player you're excited, the key player that you know will play? Not like I hope it's going to be J-Mo because I would love to see him. No. Who is going to play and that you're most excited to watch?
So yeah, there's a few guys. It's crazy how this has turned and how all these players on the Lions, it's not just, we're hoping J-Mo gets it. Now it's like, oh, I can't wait to see Kindle Vildor. I wonder what Broderick Martin could do. But I got to go. Oh, man, it's between two guys. I'll say both. Rakestraw, I'm very excited to see, especially with Mosley going down. I feel like he knows there's not just a good opportunity, but a great opportunity for him to carve out a cornerback spot if it's in that nickel or just, CB2, whatever. But the guy I'm really looking forward to, it's the guy we've been waiting for pretty much, I guess, all last preseason. He didn't really play. We're deep down. Some of us were like, well, maybe if the Lions go up by 50 points, we'll see Hendon Hooker come in and light it up, be able to get to throw it down the field. We've seen a couple throws he's made in training camp. He's made a couple bad throws too, but ultimately we haven't really seen like full on, Hendon Hooker running with the twos, maybe a couple ones out there. So I am excited to see what Hendon Hooker can do because ever since, Nick, you mentioned that Pat Mahomes, Alex Smith type, comp, we're not saying Hendon Hooker is going to be Pat Mahomes, but if we can do something where Goff, gives us another 2 great years, third year starts to, fall off, and then Hooker just takes over. We still have him maybe 1 year left on his rookie deal and just becomes that dude that he was at Tennessee because he was a Heisman. He was looking like he was going to win the Heisman until he blew his ACL out. He was looking like he was going to be a first-round pick until he got hurt and falls to the Lions in the second round, I believe. And I'm excited to see what he can do because the Lions really haven't had, premier backup since, honestly, Sean Hill.
I love Sean Hill. Great Sean Hill reference there. Gotta love when that goes on. Julius, same question. Key player to watch. Who are you most excited to watch?
I'm most excited to watch Jameer Jefferson.
Ooh, love that.
And I think he's the key player to watch in the whole game on both sides of the ball because he's kind of an under the radar character, has some injury problems the last couple of years, but he is a Brad Holmes draft pick and never say never grit. And I'm hearing rave reviews. Evidently, he's kind of surpassed Sione Baki. He's up there with Craig Reynolds trying to buy for the running back 3 position. So I can see if he's a guy that's deployed, they give him about 15, 16 carries in the game and a few targets and see what he does with it. But I do like the Hooker reference, Adam, because Hendon Hooker is unproven. And also another player, as an honorable mention, is Jake Bates, our new kicker. especially playing outdoors in New York, something he's not really kicked against in an NFL game. We finally can see if he got the gonads and the grit to be our kicker, or if we need to recall James Turner or Riley Patterson.
I love that. My biggest key is going to be on the defensive side, and I'm going to go with James Houston. I want to see him come out and I don't even care if he gets a sack or not. I don't care at all. I want to see him in coverage. That is what Dan Campbell wants to see him be better at, is coverage at linebacker position. We all know he can rush the quarterback, but he needs to be able to be on the field for first and second down, not just third down. So I want to see how he does. I'm going to write these down. These can be the same answer. We're going to kind of more lightning round this, but who is your offense? Who will be? And we'll come back to this on Friday. That's right. If you're tuning in right now, make sure you come check us out on Friday. Same time, we're going to be doing a post-game show. But who, when we come back to this segment, will be the MVP of the offense and the MVP of the defense? Julius, you go first, my brother.
MVP of the offense, I'm going to give to wide receiver Darius Fountain. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name yet, but that's who it's going to be my prediction on offense. Defensive MVP for this first game, I will go with Levi Ozeworki.
Ooh, I love it. Okay, and that's going to run it right to you, Adam.
I like both of those, Levi especially, because ironically, this is a dude that if he had been healthy his whole last few years, he probably wouldn't play. Well, maybe he would, but second round pick, so maybe he wouldn't play a lot. But anyways, he is going to play. He is a guy that's trying to earn reps. So if he pans out to be a superstar, regardless, we're still seeing him preseason. It's not just like Dan Campbell thinks he's going to be good. He's going to keep him healthy, even though he's had injury history. But
you have to clarify. You do have to pick two new guys.
Oh, I was gonna say I really do like. I'm just gonna say Fountain. I like it better. Call him the Fountain of Youth.
Yeah, we gotta call him Fountain of Youth, dude. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because ironically, this was a dude that has bounced around on like multiple teams. Last time I remember, I believe he was on the Chiefs for a hot second. He honestly might even been on the Chiefs when they won one of their 2 Super Bowls the last couple of years. So that would be nice as well if he has just some like inside, maybe not inside, but just like team building stuff where he's like, hey, Mahomes and Kelsey, they did this. Goff, Laporta, maybe suggestions. But that's going off topic. My 2 guys I'm really looking forward to see. I think I got to go back to Hendon Hooker. I already tweeted this out. I said he's going to light it up, be the preseason MVP. But I am going to go with old reliable, a different wide receiver, Mr. Done it before in preseason, and that's Tom Kennedy.
That's my fault. I was right in at where I click, and my mouse was on that predictions thing. So
I was like, there's the intro.
Breaking news. I was like, what happened? Oh God!
Oh, I screwed with everyone. That's my fault. All right, so you're saying Tom Kennedy is your guy?
Yeah, actually. No, that
Great
can't be next. I just said Hooker, so I got to pick defense. So I don't know what I was thinking there.
Wait, who is it, Hooker or Tom Kennedy?
Sticking to Hooker.
Okay.
Defense, I got to go with Rakestraw. I was just talking about him. I will say I'm curious about all the DBs. Amik, Vildor, who else we got? I guess like guys like Khalil Dorsey, dudes that are kind of fighting. Some of the other DBs, the safeties, Iffy, Kirby, if they play a little, it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, I got to go Rakestraw. He's another second-round pick. We know how it's went with these second-round picks the last 10 years. I'm pretty sure the Lions had 1 to maybe 2 hits, and one of them was, Brad Holmes with someone a couple of years ago. I don't know, but anyways, Rakestraw, I'm excited to see. He will be going up against some solid competition. It's not like he will be getting, these third, fourth stringers. He will probably be in on the first, set, likely going up against, maybe the wide receiver 2 on a team, like a Darnell Mooney type player, a guy that, has some talent, but isn't the star in their team and just is a part of a deep wide receiver group on the opposing side. With that being said, we're playing, I believe, the Giants week 1. I think I want to see Terrion and Neighbors go back at it again. I think that'll be awesome. But if Rakestraw, if he wants to take on Neighbors, I am all here for it.
Amen. I agree. I'd love to see Hooker and Rakestraw be just awesome this week. I'm going to go with Caden Davis, wide receiver, for my MVP. I think I honestly want to go with Nate Sudfeld because I think he's going to be very good and make us really think about keeping 3 quarterbacks. But I think he's going to be good because he hits Caden Davis late in the game. That's what's going to end up winning it for us. And on defense, I want to see Matthew Betts, who is a dark horse to make the team. And if he can come away with a couple tackles and a sack or a tackle for a loss or a fumble recovery or fumble force, something like that, I think that's good enough to get him MVP on the defense. So I'll go Matthew Betts and Caden Davis. Our last predictions of the day and of the show before we close everything out. Adam, what's the final score going to be?
Oof. Preseason always got wacky numbers. So, Nick, you are in luck with all your wacky predictions. Finally, one of these can come to fruition. But I am going 22-6. I think the Lions absolutely just beat the piss out of the Giants. I think the fire was ignited more under the Lions than it was the Giants. I think our depth is much better than their depth. We've seen Dan Campbell. He preaches about it. He talks, we build on depth. And that gets me to my next point. Lions are, I believe, like plus 140, plus 150 for that preseason game. So if you want a little Lions action before the real season starts, go take them in the preseason. So I'm going 22-6, and that 6 being a final garbage time drive where the Giants score just a garbage touchdown, but they don't get the 2-point conversion.
Love it. Julius, final score prediction for week 1 of the preseason.
My final score, week 1 of the preseason in New Jersey, Lions 26, Giants 3. Shut their ass up.
Yes.
Yes, dude. I love that.
Over here!
That's all I can think of. All right, I'll finish this show up. I'm going Lions with an 18-16 victory over the Giants. That was our show. Adam, take us away.
Yeah, as always, guys, check us out on Twitter, _. Check us out individually at EverydayFFB. For myself, if you want some fantasy knowledge, or hit up Nick at Nick Favorite NFLs for some fantasy knowledge. Now, if you want just some good vibes, we got Julius at the 5th top. And as always, boys and girls,
Go Lions.